Is your werewolf sim ready to rampage, or would they rather curl up next to a fireplace? We're about to look at 10 types of werewolves to consider playing as in The Sims 4. And note that for access to werewolves, you will need the Werewolves game pack. Also know that the kinds of werewolves mentioned here are just to help inspire your gameplay, so feel free to mix, match, and change up the ideas here to your heart's content. Grab your brass knuckles as we're going to start out with a crime boss werewolf. That's right, the criminal career is calling, and an ever-intimidating werewolf can certainly take the criminal lifestyle a little further than a regular sim. While sims who have reached at least level 3 in the criminal career are able to pickpocket other sims, werewolves also have access to the ferocity power, which lets them ferociously intimidate other sims, scaring them off of a lot and sometimes even making them drop their wallet and netting you some extra money. Of course, abilities like Voracious Hunger, which lets you devour objects, also works great for threatening other sims and destroying their homes. I mean, literally, you can barge in, eat the furniture, and then leave. And of course, the Werewolf Menace dormant ability complements this playstyle too, making it so that threatening others sparks joy in your werewolf. A quick added tip is that when playing as a criminal, I highly suggest giving your werewolf the Kleptomaniac trait as well, which allows them to swipe or steal objects, and this in itself is incredibly fun to do. Now get ready to channel your inner Greg as we're going to play as a loner werewolf next. For this, you'll certainly want to pick up the Lone Wolf aspiration and potentially give your sim the Loner trait. Now, the reward trait for completing the Lone Wolf aspiration is called Threatening Presence, and this makes sims more scared of you and can even cause them to pass out around you when you use a menacing ability. The loner life can be quite the life of solitude, and I like to spruce up this playstyle a bit by having my werewolf become a collector or explorer, and this ties in very nicely with the scavenger ability that allows them to dig up Moonwood Mill relics. You can also take this further by traversing through tunnels around Moonwood Mill and finding various things inside them, in which the night vision ability will help you with as well. Also, depending on how remotely your werewolf decides to live, then they could even consider collecting their own water and potentially generating their own electricity too with the Off the Grid Lot challenge. Some werewolf abilities, such as marking territory and personal grooming, can help sims to live without a toilet and a shower too. I know, we're truly going wild here. Grab your guitar now, because a rock or metal musician is next. And for this, you'll want your werewolf to buy the Rockmeister Syzygy 7000 guitar. While this instrument is locked behind reaching alpha rank of the Wildfangs pack, you can just buy it after using the bb.ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement cheat, which I will pop down in the description. Then simply live your best life jamming, playing in public to earn tips, and eventually writing and licensing songs for some ongoing royalties. Get your claws out as we're looking at playing as a savage werewolf next, letting fury take over you as you enjoy every rampage that you go on. There will be a lot. Abilities such as Hunter, which lets you run off and return with raw meat to chomp down on, as well as Vicious Howl, which terrifies nearby sims and makes them run away and cower in fear, both complement this playstyle. So too does joining the Wildfangs pack, which is a group of rather dangerous werewolves who embrace their powers to the fullest. If you join the Wildfangs, then you might want to consider the Wildfangs Renegade aspiration, in which the aspiration reward trait for completing is called Chomp Champ, and it makes it so that sims you turn into werewolves won't negatively react to being turned, and they will also want to join your pack. And this leads us to the next type of werewolf to play, being a pack leader werewolf. Now yes, this can tie in with what we just mentioned, and Chomp Champ truly is a helpful reward trait that can bring this to life. However, there are many ways that one can take werewolf pack gameplay. One way is of course to use the Curse Bearer ability to turn other sims into a group of devout packmate followers, while joining and overthrowing one of the existing packs in the game. Another could also be about family gameplay, raising a pack as a proud werewolf mother or father. I mean, you could even give birth to an all-powerful werewolf with the greater wolf blood trait, which allows them to gain experience faster and ascend the werewolf power tiers at double the speed. The werewolf mentorship ability also ties in well with this, allowing you to help the werewolves around you to grow. And if you have the Get Together expansion pack, then you can also consider using clubs to add some structure to your werewolf pack and allow for easy gatherings. Next up is an astronomer werewolf. Take your werewolf's love of the moon to the next level. You will certainly want a telescope for this sciencey gameplay, and using a telescope to collect space prints will certainly be one hobby they enjoy. And I can see this werewolf regularly camping to be able to look up at the stars or the moon from many different locations. If they feel like getting up close and personal with outer space, then the astronaut career could be for them, as could making a rocket ship and voyaging out on space missions too, with aliens, space rocks and more to uncover. Now let's take to the track as an athlete werewolf. Put your supernatural abilities to the test, with super speed being incredibly handy in making you so fast. On top of this, the natural healing ability will make it so that your werewolf recovers from injury-related moodlets 3 times as fast, and this can be particularly helpful as an athlete of sorts, especially if you have the Snowy Escape expansion pack and decide to regularly go rock climbing and fall often. With this, you won't have to worry too much about hitting the ground every so often, and in no time, you'll be taking numerous hikes to the very top of Mount Komorebi. For this playstyle, it can help to make your sim active and potentially love the outdoors. And as you might have already worked out, entering and rising through the ranks of the athlete career is another appropriate choice for this too. Now say goodbye to a life of chaos as we hone in on being a peaceful werewolf. For this, you'll likely want to join the Moonwood Collective pack, who are all about living that calm and tranquil werewolf life, suppressing their fury and avoiding as many rampages as possible. If you join the Moonwood Collective, then taking on and completing the Emissary of the Collective aspiration is rather helpful here, and it will award you with the Refined Lupine trait, which lowers the amount of fury that your werewolf generates over time. Werewolves also have a range of powers that they can use to help keep their fury in check too, such as Somber Howl, which will lower a bit of fury, as well as the Will to Resist, which gives your werewolf a chance to regain control and break out of an ongoing rampage. Lunar Resistance is also a must-have for this playstyle, as it'll prevent full moons from setting your werewolf on a guaranteed rampage. If your sim can't contain their outburst, then you could even consider setting up a little dungeon that they can lock themselves up into for if they go on a mad rampage for a hot minute. The next type of werewolf that we're going to look at playing as is a Vampire Slayer werewolf, and this will require the Vampires game pack. Now, vampires and werewolves are sworn enemies, and in fact, if a werewolf uses the enhanced smell ability on a vampire, then your werewolf will get a very angry moodlet. It really is giving Twilight. Of course, you'll be living a life filled with supernatural smackdowns with vampires, but you'll also be researching vampire lore, and once level 15, using the skill to make the ultimate vampire cure. If your werewolf has this in their inventory and strongly dislikes a vampire, then they will gain the mean interaction to throw it at them and potentially slay them. While this can be successful and turn a vampire back into a regular sim, do know that it can also fail. And now for the final werewolf gameplay idea, which is to be a farmer werewolf. And note that this will require the Cottage Living expansion pack. Maybe this is odd, but I just feel that a werewolf raising chickens and befriending rabbits, birds, and even foxes is just the cutest thing ever. I know what you are thinking, and no, your werewolf cannot use Devour to eat the chickens. But truly, having my werewolf dress their rabbit friends up in cute clothes and start every day by brushing their llama is really just making my heart so full. And with that, we're at the end. That's 10 fun werewolf ideas to consider in your gameplay. If you enjoyed or found this helpful, then please subscribe and leave a like. I would really appreciate it, and have an amazing day. See you later!